This is Unit 6, Week 3, Question 2. Who were the muckrakers? The muckrakers were journalists. It was a term coined by Roosevelt making fun of these writers for stirring up trouble and dirt. But essentially they're investigative reporters. Before there was investigative journalism or 60 Minutes, they went in to expose different practices in business, in society, in the government. And they wanted to expose things through writing. One of the most famous is Upton Sinclair, who in 1906 wrote a book, The Jungle, about the meatpacking industry in Chicago, where people were falling into the vats, being ground up and served to the public. That created outrage that resulted the same year in the passage of the Pure Food and Drug Act. Teddy Roosevelt made fun of these guys, calling them muckraker. He read that book and he signed that into law the same year. So the strategy of exposing corruption was effective. Another was Lincoln Steffens. He wrote a book, Shame of the Cities, in which he talked about the problems in city government and in cities crowded with immigrants but poorly managed by political machines. A response to some of this was creating ideas of commissions in various cities to make decisions, to vote on projects besides just corrupt politicians making decisions. A third was Ida Tarbell, who wrote The History of Standard Oil, exposing many of the business practices of Rockefeller. And a fourth muckraker would be Jacob Riis. 1890 wrote How the Other Half Lives, about the conditions of immigrants in his photo essay and photo images of life in New York. In other words, Carrie Chapman Catt wrote about women's suffrage. John Spargo wrote The Bitter Cry of the Children, about conditions of child labor, in which Congress responded by passing a ban on child labor across state lines. So this idea of investigative journalism, grossing people out essentially, bringing things to their attention, then spurred action and brought about legislative change. And that's all from some guy in an aloha print shirt.